think what's interesting for an investor, no matter what the profile they wish to undertake, what's offered by the French market, is the stability we have. Now, by stability specifically, I reference the supply and demand dynamics that we have in the Paris market at the moment. I mean, we have a CBD vacancy rate that's low, very low, in fact under the 2% mark for the high quality space. It's creating quite a bit of frustration in the market, but in the same way, it means that for an investor, if there are to be strong headwinds on the economic front, it means that fundamentals are still strong. So the market has the ability to absorb more supply, and in particular, if there is a drop in demand, well, that is never something very positive for a market unless it's relieving pressure. So potentially, there's a lot of pressure on the CBD market and the markets in the first periphery, close to the periphery. Those markets there, they can take the shock because there's such a low vacancy rate in that particular area. So stability, I think, is what we're hoping for, certainly when we deliver our messages to our investors. So that it gives them the opportunity to look at very different investment profiles. So it means that the core products remain defensive, even if they are low yielding. Core plus opportunities are there, so like repositioning of properties or taking risk on income profiles, or the fully fledged value add that LaSalle in particular has been looking at recently. So the fully repositioning of a property and offering something very different to the market at a different rent. Infrastructure is an interesting point because the Grand Paris project, which is investment in the infrastructure in the Paris region, so the metros and the trains, etc. This is bringing potential growth strategies to the market, either in existing established areas which are expanding, or with the arrival in more longer term of new areas that aren't fully consolidated at present. So that's certainly something that's beneficial in the French market and something that can lead a growth strategy. In terms of high-yielding investment, they're very rare to come across in Europe these days compared to other regions. That is the way to gain growth, by taking risk on leasing, with that confidence that's coming from the leasing market and those supply and demand dynamics. Looking into alternative sectors is definitely one that merits being explored. Alternative sectors for LaSalle are in particular service departments, student housing. We've even looked at urban logistics, but in France there is quite a low stock compared to other markets, notably the UK. So there are some interesting alternative sectors that are being explored and do offer those. I'd say that the challenge for international investors looking at the French market perhaps for the first time, or if they already have core investments in France and they're looking to seek a little more higher yielding product, I think the challenge for them is to understand the local market, to get through the barrier of just wanting to invest in CBD. One of the key elements that's attractive in the French investment market is that the Paris region itself is the largest part of the economy, followed very closely by Lyon. But within itself, it offers a lot of diversity. The occupier demand and the yields, and therefore the yields and the rents that you have in a market like La Défense can be very different to a market within the city. So we've seen a trend in the way that investors look at the market and how they've started to expand out into the markets that I would say that the French investors have been focused on for years because they're much closer to the market. So we have this proximity. We know that the inner suburbs and even the outer suburbs of Paris are very strong investment markets. But the difference we see now is those international investors are waking up to these opportunities. So more confidence, perhaps more competition, but that's certainly a change that we see in the market as we look forward.